Welcome, you have reached review time with Imperial. Today's review will be Old by M. Night Shyamalan. Let's get into it. So if you've been a watcher of Shyamalan's movies over the years, he does put out good movies. There was a period where it could be a hit or miss. One of the earlier films, Sixth Sense, I remember him doing. Then he had Unbreakable. Then he came out with The Village. That was like wonky. He caught some flack off of that. He had the Unbreakable trilogy series because he came out with them that people didn't know that it was all tied together. And then they ended the trilogy with Glass with Unbreakable. Then you had Signs was a good movie with Mel Gibson. And then you had he came out with a TV show called Fox Wayward Pines. A lot of people might have missed that, but that was a decent show. Season 1 was, and then season 2 got a little wonky after that. Nevertheless, get into the movie Old. Subscribe to the channel, by the way. Like the video also. Let's get into the movie. So you've seen the trailers for this movie. Kind of pretty much showed a lot of the movie. You had Alex Wolff plays as Trent, and Thomas and McKenzie plays as Maddox. Now, several different characters in here. Now, you got a bunch of families that end up at a resort. And you have a hostess that meets them named Madrid. And then you have a director that's there. And then you have a little kid named Iblib that befriends Trent. Now, these families, you know, if you've been on vacation, depending on, like, you're at an island somewhere, you think of things to do on the island. Sometimes they say we could go over to a remote private island that's off from the regular island. It's like, you know, secluded from everybody else. So a lot of these families sign up to go. And the little boy Iblib that befriend Trent pretty much was warning him about that island, but he didn't know. But he slipped a little message in Trent's mom's purse. He didn't know at the time, though. So they find out on the island. So they get to the island. All the family's there. So you got Trent and Maddox, his kids. You have Guy and Priska, husband and wife. They're the mothers of Trent and Maddox. And you have Patricia and Jaron. Crystal, who's the mother of Cora. And then you have Charles, who's the doctor. And so they get on this island and things start to change. And Cora has a mother. She's older. She instantly start aging. And she is what you see in the trailers, the bag of bones. So she instantly start aging. And so everybody started aging right before their eyes. They'll go away for a split second before you know it, they older. So if you already had some type of condition going on, it would either better you or worsen you, depending on what you had going on. So you had Priska, who had a tumor inside of her, and it was small, but because she was aging, it grew large. So they did some surgery on her, the doctor did, and they pulled the tumor out of her, and the tumor was like the size of a softball. And then she started getting better after that. Meanwhile, the doctor started talking to himself while he was doing the surgery, and they kept tapping him to come back in. So you seen he was starting to go through his phase. So you had the kids that was turning older right before their eyes, and Trent and the little girl Cora, who's the mother, is Crystal. Now Crystal is vanity driven, and she was already, as Cora was a little kid version, she was telling her you need to watch what you eat, don't sit hunched over. And so you started seeing Crystal was thinning already while she was on the island. And Cora and Trent, when they got a little older, they went and got intimate. Then they grew up, and Cora had a baby. As fast as she had the baby couldn't sustain with the aging, so the baby withered away. You had Jahns and Patricia. Patricia suffers with seizures, so she had a seizure when they first got there, but then she went cool, and then they knew it would only last for a little bit longer. So Jahns pretty much was like, I gotta go help my wife. I'm a great swimmer. I'm gonna go swim and go get help. Of course, he's swimming and he ain't make it. He died fast. So he was out of there because you aging. So you might be a great swimmer now, but you ain't gonna be a great swimmer as you aging. There was somebody that you could see with a light up at the top of the mountains. No one took it upon themselves really to investigate, to really try to get up there. Cara did try when she got a little older. She tried to climb. She got to a certain point and she just stopped. And she fell all the way down. So everybody was just dropping like flies pretty much. Then you have Priska and Guy. They're the mother and father. They were just aging out. And they had their own differences. And Priska, pretty much, she wanted to leave Guy. And she had this heart-to-heart with Maddox about she was going to leave when she was sick. She didn't want to no more. Meanwhile, the doctor was turning crazy. Now, the doctor already killed somebody on the island. And then he started to come kill Guy. Now, Guy, he was starting to get old because his vision started to fade. And everything started to become blurry to him. So his vision started to fade. And he was getting killed by the doctor, Charles. But then Priska came and stabbed Charles with a rusty knife. Now, of course, because you aging, the rust in the body's going to... So they could cut somebody because they age, it'll heal them right away. But when she put the rust in them, the rust will go through his veins like poison. So that killed him. The mom and Guy and Priska eventually died. Then it was only Trent and Maddox left, and they was pretty much like... The next day made it, and they said pretty much we'll be dead by the next day. And so they still got a kid's mind frame, so they still saying, well, you want to, they're older now, do you want to build a sandcastle? So they agreed to build a sandcastle, and so they went in their mom's purse to grab something, and they found this letter, and it was from Iblib, and Iblib pretty much was saying, my uncle doesn't like the cove. So they, at this moment, they like, we don't have nothing to lose. Let's go down in the cove and pretty much see what's down there. When they go down there, it's like a pathway that leads to something. So they go down there and it shows Maddox get stuck, and it shows her losing air. She can't swim. She getting stuck. So it shows the person that was up at the top of the mountains was filming all this that was going on and didn't see them come back up, so he left. And this was M. Night Shyamalan's character in the movie, and he goes and drive back, pretty much tell them it's a done deal. They all did. So then it goes back to where the director, and then you meet, you're introduced to a character named Sydney, who's like the head of like this lab where they're trying to fix cures of the world and medicine, and they're pretty much using people as human beings as lab rats on this island while they're trying to make cures to cure people or whatever. And they get people with potentially pre-existing conditions and see how well with the stuff they putting on to make people age, if they survive or not. Pretty much nobody survived. They keeping a log of everything. They found that log on the island. And so, of course, you already know Maddox and Trent is alive. So they show back up on the island. They show what they did when she got stuck. He eventually broke the coral reef and she got free. They made it back through the through the cove, and swam back to the island. And as soon as they came up there, they seen other people that they were setting up to go to this island, and they told somebody to let them know, like, yo, don't go over there. It's, you know, something going on the island or whatever. And they think the Idlib kid, and he went and looked at them to see how they aged. And the authorities got in, they locked people up, confiscated the lab, and it ended with Trent and Maddox flying off in a helicopter. The end. Out of my 4-star rating system, I'm going to give this movie a 2 out of 4 stars. Again, subscribe to the channel. Like the video. It was a decent film. 2 out of 4 stars. Until next time.